So, good morning to all of you. I hope you all have started studying for your term one examination. So, some theory chapters are still left. Then, also, we'll keep on revising the practical chapters where the weightage of marks are more. So, coming to unit one, already completed one chapter of communication skills. Now, chapter two, that is communication cycle. For that, first we need to understand what is communication and what is communication cycle. In the previous chapter, we have already read that communication means exchanging information between two or more people. Okay, but what is communication cycle? Cycle means it should be an ongoing process. So basically, when you communicate or send a message to the receiver understands that message and then he should acknowledge that message. He gives a feedback to the sender. So if sender and receiver, two persons are there, sender gives a message to receiver interprets or understands the message. Based on that, he or she acknowledges or gives feedback to the sender. Now, next time they will exchange their role. Receiver will become the sender and sender will become the receiver. So, this way it is an ongoing process. That's why it is known as a communication cycle. So it should be followed in a proper way. A very good example given here in your book that suppose the teacher means asked you people to read an unseen passage carefully, and after reading the passage you all were asked to find out the answers of the questions which are given. Okay, and teacher also instructed that make sure all your answers are correct. So you started doing the same thing, but you didn't follow the instructions carefully. Before reading the chapter properly, you started finding the answers of the exercise questions. So in that case, what will happen? You will not get the proper answers. Your answers will not be up to the mark. So here, feedback is very important. Next is what are the principles of effective communication? Like if you're communicating to someone, what things or points you should keep in mind? First one, you should always go with the language with which both the sender and receiver both are comfortable with. Suppose sender is talking in English and receiver doesn't know a single line of English. In that case, will that communication will be ineffective one? No. So you should go with the language which is understandable by both the parties. Okay, next one is definite. It means that when you're talking, you should know the aim of or the purpose of that talking, the goal. What is the goal? Why we are talking it? You know that sometimes we say that if you don't have a talk or a conversation, then that is known as gossiping. So always aim, you should have an aim for talking. Next is complete and concise. When you're talking to someone, you wanted to tell something else, but you diverted the topic somewhere else. So try to complete the sentences and try to be short when you're conveying some information or message to the receiver. Next is appropriate medium, like how you're talking. Is it a face to face interaction? Are you sending an email? Are you going to send a letter? Or what else? What can be the other mediums? You'll have to decide according to the timing, the distance between the sender and receiver, and the nature of interaction. Suppose there is an urgent message which I have to convey to my relative and I'm going to follow the method of that Indian post. Will it be appropriate? No. In that case, we can email, which will take in fractions of a second and it will reach to the receiver. Next thing, if you're using some facts and figures in your conversation, then whatever facts or figures you are giving, it should not be misleading or false. Okay, next is courteous. While talking, you be polite, be courteous. But some people ask, well, writing a message means in the written form, if you are conveying a message, how can be polite by that time? See, keep in mind then when you write a message and if you're using a font which shows your anger, like most of the time, if you're writing in capital letters, you have bolded it, means highlighted it, it shows your anger. So go with the proper font. Okay. Now next is elements of a communication cycle, which I have already explained in the beginning. So let's start it again so that all five components will be understood by you. First one is sender, means the person who generates the message. Then he codes the message. Codes the means he writes the message. He frames the message. If it is a verbal, means oral communication, he will have to use appropriate words, means which are suitable for that particular occasion. Then he will use a appropriate channel. Then the message will be received by the receiver, and receiver will try to decode. Decode means he or she will try to interpret or understand the message, what it is about. Once he has understood the message, he or she will provide a feedback to the or a response, or they will acknowledge the message to the send. Next comes defining feedback. Why feedback is important? If I'm not, I got a message from my friend, and I haven't responded to him like, okay, thank you, something, a feedback, or I haven't acknowledged. So let me give you an example. Like suppose a father wrote a letter to his son. They both are staying apart, and he wrote a letter to his son that reach tomorrow. Son received the letter, and without acknowledging, without providing a feedback to his father, he left for his home. Means he left for means he went for his father's home, and father in turn he left for his son's home. So both are at the wrong places. They couldn't meet each other because of lack of acknowledgement, lack of feedback. So feedback is must if you want a communication to be an effective one. Another example given, the monitor of your class has been instructed by the teacher to explain the rules of sitting in the library. She explains each rule one by one. You all listen to her carefully and follow the rules. As a result, the class gets a reward of being the most disciplined class in school. The recognition reveals the impact of feedback. Means the message was communicated in a proper way. The whole class listened to the monitor and they all followed it. And what was the result? They got the reward for being the most disciplined class in school. So this is effective communication. Next is another example given. Your teacher guides you about the place to keep your skates in the classroom after the activity gets over. But you didn't follow her instruction carefully and you kept it anywhere in the passage or corridor, because of which your classmate got hurt. This reveals that communication was not effective. Okay. Next is what type of feedback can be? It can be a positive one or negative one. I'm taking your class. I asked if have you understood? If you will tell no, ma'am, this topic was not explained properly. So this is a negative feedback. And if you're telling yeah, it is going on well, then that is a positive feedback. Negative feedback helps the sender to improve if there is something they are lacking in between, or the mode they have suggested for communication, wherever they feel like something should be proper according to your negative feedback, they will keep on working. Okay. Next is importance of feedback, already told with so many examples. Then also let's read this. Feedback is required to continue the process of active communication. It can be effective only when it is heard, interpreted, and accepted. It determines the way forward. Feedback helps people to get on track. It guides them to know how others perceive their performance. Feedback is a vital part of effective learning as it gives clear guidance to the students on how to improve their knowledge and performance. So next is an example. During a clay modeling period, the teacher was giving feedback on the performance of students, and Rohan, one of the students, was disheartened that as he couldn't make the model of an aeroplane even after it was demonstrated to him 4 to 5 times. The teacher observed him and figured out the problem. She said, Rohan, you can do it. It's just that you need to do it carefully with a focused mind. I have full confidence in you. Try again. So as a result, he could do it, and Rohan experienced a surge in his confidence, and everybody clapped for him when he completed that task. So next we are going to learn about feedback is important in what ways. So now, why feedback is important? First is basis of problem solving. When the receiver gets a message, it is up to him to agree with the sender or not. If the receiver disagrees with the sender, it can cause a problem. In this case, the feedback can help the sender justify the response of the receiver. It enables the sender to interpret the behavior of the receiver and take the next step accordingly. Next is effective listening. Feedback results into effective listening. When feedback is given, the sender becomes conscious of the message sent by him. He reanalyzes his message and correlates it with the feedback. Means he will check whether the message what I wanted to convey has it gone to the receiver proper way. How it can check by matching the feedback and what with the and the message what he has said. Next is can motivate. Students need motivation to study and to perform the given task well. Right feedback given at the right time can do wonders for them. Then can improve their performance. Good performance is what everybody strives for. It can take you to new heights. For that, you need to overcome your fears, shortcomings, and worries. So, good feedback enables you to overcome your fears and accomplish your goals with courage and determination. Tools for continued learning. Feedback plays a vital role in learning. Learning is an ongoing process. Proper feedback prevents you from getting distracted. Last is descriptive feedback. So what is descriptive feedback? Like if you're providing a feedback where specific information in the form of written comments or verbal conversation, then that is your descriptive feedback. Okay. Next is benefits of descriptive feedback. Descriptive feedback should be focused on how well the task has been accomplished, along with providing suggestions to improve further. It's not like good, keep it up. This is not descriptive one. You will write or you will tell about each and every aspect of that communication which you have noticed that here some improvement is required and accordingly you have provided the feedback. So that is your descriptive feedback. It offers the following benefits. First one, it provides useful information to students about their learning. Suppose somebody gave me the answer and the format of the answer is not proper. I should not tell that, oh, go ahead, do like this only. If I definitely I'll appreciate the child, but at the same time, I'll have to tell him where the improvement is required, how this answer could have been written in a proper way, what steps he has to follow, everything has to be told. It fills the gap between their present level of performance and the learning goal, enables the student to self-assess and set their goals accordingly. Now, what are the factors essential to give descriptive feedback? First is it should be goal oriented. Feedback should be given keeping the aim of learning in mind. If the student doesn't know why they are learning, why will they learn? So the motive should be, the goal should be there. They must know why they are learning, what is the learning aim, and how they are going to achieve. Then actionable. Whatever you are teaching to the students, they must know where to apply it practically. If they will not know it, they will lose their interest. So when students have knowledge but do not know where to apply it, they lose interest in learning. Hence, their experiences should be put to use by giving them specific direction. Next is it should be user friendly. Feedback should be given in easy to understand language so that the students can comprehend what they are supposed to do to achieve the learning aim. Next is timely. Feedback should be given on time. If I have communicated something to the students, they are replying, then if that same time I'm not giving feedback, they may lose interest what they had told, what was the discussion point, everything they may forget. Now, next is it should be continuous. Okay, it should not like that once I appreciated, I give the feedback to the child, next I stop. It should be a continuous process. Now, it should be consistent. The student should be given a consistent feedback, otherwise, they will not be able to rely on it. Next is specific and non-specific feedback. This is very important. Specific feedback means I was there on the stage for giving I for giving a speech. Somebody came to me, yeah, that line where you had a increase high pitch. It really suits you. It was very good. But you know, here you need to work. So if specifically in a particular area somebody corrected me, they gave me the suggestion, then that type of feedback is known as specific feedback. Okay, like for example, it was impressive that you started with a question to hook the listeners. So I appreciated the person for a single thing. So he is knowing that what for I was appreciated for. Then non-specific, like I have seen someone's work and I just told them, yeah, it's great, great job. So he doesn't know about which particular field or where he has done a great job. So always go for a specific feedback. It really helps to improve. Then, need for specific feedback. Specific feedback can be highly constructive. It might prove to be beneficial to the receiver. It makes the receiver aware that the specific details that need to be focused on to improve one's work and performance. Okay, so all of you please read the chapter after watching the video, and along with this video I'm going to send the PDF of the exercise. So do complete your copies, and when the copies are going to be corrected, that time don't give any silly excuse, because everything is given in PDF format through which you can complete your work. So let me stop here only. Thank you and have a nice day.